Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig into the details so you don't have to. Today we're tackling something close to many of our hearts and wallets, the global coffee market. Prices have been, well, jumping recently. Our mission is to unpack why, using the latest info from global coffee market. Prices surge amidst Brazil's challenges. Basically, why might your daily cup be costing more? So let's start with the numbers as of August 14th, 2025. They really stand out. Robusta, that's the London September contract, hit $3,933 a ton. That's up over 5.5%.
Yeah, quite a jump.
And Arabica, the New York contract, also climbed. It reached about 319 cents per pound, up 1.4%. Not small moves for one day. So what's really going on behind these numbers?
Well, it's interesting because Robusta and Arabica, they're seeing slightly different pressures, even though both are up. For Robusta, two main things seem to be at play. First, you've got traders covering their short positions, basically buying back contracts after betting prices would fall earlier, and, well, prices didn't keep falling.
Right, reversing earlier bets.
Exactly. But the probably more critical factor is a real supply signal from Brazil. Their Robusta exports in July, they absolutely plummeted, down 49% compared to July 2024.
49%. Wow, that's a massive drop. That definitely points to less coffee available, right?
Definitely. It signals a genuine tightening of supply hitting the market.
Okay, so Robusta feels like a direct supply issue.
Right.
But then Arabica, it's a bit more complicated, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Two key things there.
First, there's this new 50% U.S. tariff on most goods from Brazil. That kicked in early August.
And that's already causing ripples.
Yeah.
Some U.S. buyers are apparently hitting pause on bringing in Brazilian coffee because of that extra cost. Makes sense.
Yeah, 50% hike is hard to ignore. And the second factor,
Reports of frost. Mild, scattered frost in some Brazilian coffee regions like Cerrado Mineiro.
the frost, okay, that always gets the market nervous. But you said mild.
That's the key word. Reports say it's mainly affecting the treetops, and it's apparently much less severe than that big frost back in 2021.
Ah, okay, the one that really caused damage.
Right. So this time, the concern isn't so much about this year's crop, which is mostly harvested anyway. It's about the potential damage to the flower buds for next season's crop. Those buds develop around September, October.
So it's triggering fears about future supply, even if the immediate damage isn't huge. Market psychology kicking in.
Precisely. How much is real potential damage versus just, market jitters? That's the big question for Arabica right now.
In Brazil's reaction to all this, particularly the tariffs, they're not just standing by, are they?
No, definitely not. President Lula announced a pretty substantial export support package. We're talking 30 billion raise.
Which is about, what, 5.5 billion US dollars?
Roughly, yes. And their stated strategy is basically to try and shift exports like coffee, but also things like beef away from the U.S. and more towards other big markets. China is mentioned specifically.
An attempt to find other buyers and soften the blow from the U.S. tariffs. Makes strategic sense.
So if we pull back a bit, look at the bigger picture. The Arabica price reacting to mild frost suggests the market sees it maybe more as a psychological trigger, while Robusta's bigger jump seems tied to that very real immediate drop in Brazilian exports we talked about.
That makes sense. One is more tangible supply, the other more future-focused anxiety, perhaps?
And there are other things helping prop up prices too, right? Like what the U.S. Federal Reserve might do.
Yeah, exactly. There's growing talk, based on recent inflation data being maybe better than expected, that the Fed might cut interest rates.
And how does that feed into coffee prices?
Well, usually lower U.S. interest rates can lead to a weaker U.S. dollar.
Right.
And since commodities like coffee are often priced in dollars, a weaker dollar makes them cheaper for buyers using other currencies, so potentially more demand.
So it provides a kind of background support for prices.
Exactly. So, the lesson here, pulling from the source material, seems to be that news, whether it's weather forecasts or new trade rules, or even hints about interest rates, it gets picked up really fast. Speculators can use that news to push futures prices up, especially for contracts further out, even if the current immediate supply hasn't changed all that dramatically yet.
It really highlights that interplay between actual beans in the warehouse and, market sentiment and expectation. It's a constant dance. So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening to this?
Well, this deep dive shows just how connected everything is. A bit of frost in Brazil, a trade policy shift, chatter about interest rates. It all ripples through the system. and eventually can influence the price you pay for your coffee.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Next time you grab that cup, maybe consider how much of its cost reflects the actual coffee beans and how much is maybe tied up in global politics, economic forecasts, and, people betting on what might happen next month or next year. There's a whole world in that cup.